millions of people in the world could accept you for the body you're in and accept you for who you are, but unless you begin to start accepting yourself, nothing's going to change. Certainly an interesting video today, and certainly a video that I didn't plan on discussing, but it seems to be very relevant at the moment, and it does actually touch on a lot of subjects I do try and promote on this channel, being mental health and body image. That's why we're looking at How Glowing Up Ruined My Life by Alivia. This is an interesting one because I have seen a few people comment on this video or video of hers in the past. Pretty sure Coach Greg did a video, Abby Sharp probably did a video on her, I think, where they have spoken about bits and bobs about her and her content, and I like to give my opinion, my input, not on her as a creator, but this content alone, as it very much does reflect onto things that I deem to be very important and things I do try and actively speak about, things I've struggled with myself and things I've done work on myself as well, either talking to individuals, talking to groups, podcasts, all kinds of things. Very quickly, if you haven't already, please do consider clicking the red button down below to subscribe to the channel, as I would very much appreciate it.
You know, like what I did in the past is I would actually just cancel plans and not even go hang out with people.
I don't take Instagram photos if I've gained weight, you know? Because
it's like I don't even want to go out to this party anymore because I just look terrible.
See, this is the thing that I think a lot of people tend to neglect or forget to realize, that especially since our lives have become so consumed by social media and so public as well to the world around us, I think we've inherently become very subject to a lot of criticism or opinion from people that we may not necessarily have had before. So when you see someone, they may criticize or give an opinion on you, but this time when you post anything online, you get criticism and opinions from people you've probably never even met before, and people probably you didn't even know exist until they commented on your post. I think sadly, with this kind of public, where our lives are essentially online, there is this underlying anxiety in a lot of people, something I actually do face myself, worry about what people will say, and that then in turn has a bit of a knock-on effect on worrying about what people you actually encounter will say. Where you go to a party, you go to an event, you see family, whatever it may be, and you're scared about what they're going to say about you. Are they going to say you've lost weight? Are they going to say you've gained weight? Are they going to make a comment about your body that you really don't want to hear? Are they going to make a comment about your progress or about anything that, quite frankly, isn't helpful? I know many of you probably share this anxiety as well. What can we say in those moments to help? We cannot stop anybody from, in that moment, giving that first opinion. I think it's key to remember you have boundaries and you're allowed boundaries, and those boundaries should be respected. And if they can't be respected, that's not something you need to tolerate. So let's say I go to a party or an event, I've lost weight, which is actually a big anxiety of mine. I don't like losing weight. It makes me feel like I'm regressing. I've got probably a bit of an unhealthy association with scale weight, and that's something obviously I know I need to address, and I am addressing. Let's go to a party and someone says to me, "Oh, Harry, you've lost weight." In those moments, it's very easy for us to say, oh, okay, well, this is why, maybe it's just this, or maybe my clothes are just baggier, and we kind of give them an excuse as to why that might be. But I think a fair response in those moments would be simply just saying, I appreciate if you didn't make a comment about my body. Whether it's from good intent or not, whether they say so because they think you want to lose weight and they're trying to compliment you, or whether it's actually negative and malicious, which is unlikely, sometimes it's key to just say, actually, you know what, I'd really appreciate if you didn't talk about my body. You don't owe anybody an explanation, nor do you owe them a justification. Sometimes it's a simple, I don't want to talk about this, and hopefully people will respect this. Instead of saying you look like you've gained this or look like you've lost weight, turn around and simply say, you look really good, you look healthy, you look happy. Things like that aren't necessarily associated to body size, I think can be far more beneficial than saying you've lost weight, you've gained weight. Because quite frankly, I think it's fair to say it's nice to be told you look good or you're looking healthy and happy. Not always nice to be told that you're losing weight or gaining weight. It might be for you, but for many it's not. A lot of people seem to neglect how much our self-worth and our body image can really impact our mental health. Again, I spoke about this ages ago in an article that was written back in probably 2018 maybe, where I kind of elaborated on earlier parts of my fitness endeavors, we'll say, where I was so ashamed and insecure of my body and my progress and just how I looked, especially in comparison to a lot of the people I followed online. I'd often, on multiple occasions, just end up sitting in the kitchen of my mum's house when I lived back at home, just crying, just feeling really miserable, really weak, helpless, pathetic, and kind of worthless, to be honest, where my body image did impact me to the point where I would cancel events or I wouldn't go see people. And for months and months and months, I didn't see certain friends because I was so scared they were going to make a comment about my appearance, my body weight, when I'd associated so much value to how I looked and how strong I was and how much I weighed, not because it made me feel better, but because I felt like I was only appreciated if I weighed more, which inherently I know is not true, but that's just a projection of my own deeper problems that were coming out in the form of body-related issues that In fairness, I still have to this day. If you ever see me in the gym, once in a blue moon I might wear a cheeky tank top if I've got an adequate pump, we'll say, but more often than not I'm wearing a 3XL jumper or a 3XL hoodie or a 3XL t-shirt. And if you ever see me out and about, I'm probably doing the same thing. I consume myself with very large clothing because then you never know what I actually look like underneath, and you never know whether I'm big, I'm small, where I've gained weight or lost weight. I'm just wearing a parachute that kind of leaves it subject to guessing. But there's so little information provided, you can't even make an opinion on my body because you can't see anything. And that's just how it has been. But also partly because I kind of am trying to get better into the mindset, which is also why I never really show my physique often on YouTube. I want people to base their opinion of me on who I am, what I present, and what I provide, be that through education, entertainment, empathy, whatever it may be, rather than simply just how I look. Again, I don't want you to be like, oh, I'm going to subscribe to Harry because he looks like this. I want you to be like, oh, I'm going to subscribe to Harry because he's provided some good information. He made me laugh. He made me feel a little bit better on a bad day.
You know, you may wonder, like, how could you let yourself get to this point? And it's because I didn't care, I guess. Because I understand it's like a deeper rooted issue. It's like who I am on the inside, and who I am on the inside is pretty weak.
It's a tricky one when you're thinking about weight gain and people present the idea of how did it get to this point? Because on paper, thermodynamics are quite simple. Calorie deficit, calorie surplus, weight loss, weight gain. It typically is as simple as to lose weight, you have to burn more than you consume. To gain weight, you have to consume more than you burn. But that's on paper. That's completely disregarding emotions, completely disregarding humans, all sorts. So on paper, it's simple. But in reality, it's not always as simple as the process to go about it may be simple of eat less, move more. But the psychological elements of weight loss are far more complicated, far more tricky, where people do find comfort in food. People do find comfort in their body weight. People, when they maybe have unhealthy attachments or relationships with things, food, body, whatever it may be, do find it hard to let go of those things. They found comfort in food and their body weight for so long without even realizing it. Once they've essentially been told they're going to have to let go of it, that can almost exacerbate those comfort feelings, and now you feel like you aren't allowed it, you want more of it. It's very easy externally to be like, oh, it can't be that hard, just do this. Well, you don't know how the other person's feeling, you don't know what's going through their mind, you don't know what their deeper rooted issues may be. With Alivia saying how she feels weak for not being able to achieve it, I think it's less about weakness and strength and more about what's really going on here. Is the food and the calories, let's say, the issue here, or is there something else underlying that needs to be addressed? If I came to you and said, look, I'm really struggling with depression, with anxiety, who's going to turn around and say, oh, that's weak of you? But hopefully, not many of you, maybe some of you, but hopefully not. If you can associate compassion to mental health complications like that, why can't we associate compassion to mental health complications that could probably be linking or projecting or transferring over to other issues such as weight gain and weight loss? What is a deeper issue, and why don't we show that compassion too? At the moment, there is obviously the TFNL raffle going on, which means if you buy any of the TFNL workout guides, which are on the website, tfnl.uk, which is always linked down below in the description, then you're automatically entered into the raffle to win one of three things: 2 months free coaching with me on a one-to-one basis online, a free program written by me for your goals, or your order of the workout guide refunded. If you fancy being entered into the raffle to win any of those things, please have a gander at the tfnl.uk website. And also, if you go down to the bottom of the website and subscribe to the mailing list, you may actually in fact get a cheeky little discount code to use on your purchase.
When the external validation feels too good, there's usually another side to it.
I was live streaming and then someone commented and then people were like asking, they were like, why do you not look as good as your Instagram photo?
Nobody does. Categorically, nobody does. Social media is a highlight reel. If you take 100 photos, you're going to post one of them and you're going to post the best one. If I film 5 of my working sets of my workout, I'll probably post the best one, because why would I post the worst? Again, it's like social media is almost like a marketing tool for individuals, not just business, but for individuals, how they can present themselves to their peers as the best version of themselves. The ones where they look the prettiest, the leanest, the most muscular, the strongest, whatever it may be. Social media is a highlight reel and is not necessarily an accurate depiction of what reality is. The external validation from people is an interesting one, because when you seek all this validation from those around you and you're looking for other people to tell you that you are good, is that really relevant if you don't believe that yourself? Although it may feel good and you may chase that thinking, oh, the more people who tell me I look good, the better I'll feel. That's probably not going to happen. 1,000 people in the world could tell you look good. If you don't feel that or believe that yourself, it's not going to change that. You need to work on that belief and that feeling personally, and you can't expect other people to provide it for you. We're all guilty of it. I've been guilty of it plenty of times in my life, and it doesn't ever help. It really doesn't. Validation's one side of things, but also the negativity is another side of things that people often forget about, especially when you are a bit more on the online space. I think I was scrolling through her comment sections, going quite deep into it. I think I saw a comment along the lines of how glowing up didn't ruin your life, or something along those lines, and basically just almost like, I want to say, kind of almost shaming and disrespecting the experiences of Alivia here and what she's gone through, and kind of just disregarding it. And I found that was quite upsetting and a bit of a disappointment, because comments like that are actually quite prominent and prevalent. You've got to remember, when people are leaving negative comments on your videos or projecting negativity onto you, it really comes from a place of happiness. So to an extent, you've got to sympathize with those people to question, what must they be going through to want to project negativity, hatred, dislike, whatever it may be, onto a person they don't even know. If you're content and happy with your life, you're probably not in the YouTube comment section telling people about how worthless and useless and weak they are. If you are content and happy in your life, you're probably going to be there helping others to feel better and probably build those people up, as you'd like to think others would do to you too.
I thought about my subscribers and something, like I felt something. And so I was like, what about my subscribers? I care about them. And all I want is for people to accept me in any body that I am in.
Oftentimes when we're seeking that acceptance from those around us, your subscribers accepting you shouldn't be the fundamental focus point here. You accepting you should be. It's great to have a support network, and it's great to have a community. I'm extremely thankful for the fact that I have an audience, as I do, and I'm extremely thankful that I've been given this privilege and opportunity to be able to speak my mind about things, be that workout related, mental health, whatever it may be, online, and actually have people listen and actually care about what I'm saying. And it makes me feel good knowing that I can provide some value to people. But my worth is not dictated by what you think of me or my body. My worth is not dictated by your opinion of my body. I like to think my worth is a bit more dictated by how I behave, how I treat other people, and what I present to this world as an entirety, rather than how I look. Millions of people in the world could accept you for the body you're in and accept you for who you are. But unless you begin to start accepting yourself, nothing's going to change. And that's quite a hard reality for many people to understand. It's something I'm still coming to terms with myself. But realistically, you can have so many people say, oh, you look great, you're XYZ. But if you don't believe it, like I said earlier, if you don't believe it yourself, probably not going to do a lot for you. Again, Alivia is an interesting one, because oftentimes I see creators post similar things like this. I can think of a couple off the top of my head, which I'm not going to name. I don't get the feeling it's very genuine. But with her, after having watched this video a couple of times now, it actually does seem genuine. I don't think she's putting this on for the camera. I don't think she's just looking for attention. Far from it. I think she actually cares enough about her audience to present a really vulnerable version of herself online to hopefully help other people, and also to share her experiences that other people will hopefully relate to and benefit from. And I really appreciate that, because I think vulnerability online is a really scary thing to do, because you're essentially giving your feelings to those that you've never met, who could say some really horrible things to you, especially when you are in a vulnerable place where you might be a bit more susceptible to that emotional pain from negative comments. I think it's quite a brave thing to do, and I really respect and appreciate that. The thing is, when she obviously spoke earlier about losing the will to live and things along those lines, is that unless you've dealt with depression personally, and no two experiences are the same, but it's going to be really hard for you to ever identify or fully understand what that means, where you can literally say on paper, so many things are great. Out of all these amazing things, something is still missing. I look outside and everything just seems a bit less colourful. The greens are a bit grey. You wake up and you say, I've got all these things that should be amazing, but I'm not looking forward to any of them. These things that once brought me joy bring me nothing. And when you kind of lose that energy, enjoyment, excitement out of life, everything just starts going down with it. And that can also have a really big knock-on effect to our productivity, our feelings towards ourselves, and also our feelings towards other people. I do very much empathise for her having gone through that, but it's also nice to see that she's still here and came out the other side, which unfortunately many people don't.
The problem with the glow up concept is that we're only seeing these results, which can easily create the illusion that these results is what creates the happiness. And secondly, it can be easy to fall into the mindset that the before version of you is not enough or acceptable. And it starts to make you place value on only one version of yourself.
That's actually a really valid point, is that oftentimes when people do pursue these like glow up journeys thinking I will be better once I am more attractive, once I'm skinnier, whatever it may be. Probably not, sadly. Again, firstly, you've got to let go of the idea that what you were before is not good enough, and also let go of the idea that your results and your aesthetic is going to fix all your problems. Again, you are feeling this way because of a deeper rooted issue. It's probably not just because of the surface level issue you might be looking at. There's probably something going on there that needs to be addressed likely in therapy if I'm honest. And again, in doing so, once you kind of develop that self-acceptance, you can then start improving yourself as a person, but not because you feel like you have to, because you feel like you want to, not because you weren't good enough before, but because you want to be even better.
Thing just happened to me. So there was a guy that I went on a date with 2 years ago during my glow up journey. And at the time, I didn't really understand how much I was lacking in self-acceptance and self-love and all that. So I so badly wanted him. I was low-key desperate. I literally just saw him. He was on a date with another girl, but it's so crazy because of how much I've changed as a person.
That's another thing, is when we are in this place where something is missing, oftentimes we then look for that thing from another person or from something else. We often attach to things that aren't necessarily right for us or good for us because we're in a position where something, like I said, is missing or something's not right in us. And oftentimes I kind of ask, when people speak to me, say, oh, I really want to be with this person because of XYZ, XYZ. I turn around and say, do you really want to be with that person because of XYZ? Or are you actually just missing something in yourself that you're hoping they will fulfill because you can't right now or because you haven't right now? And it really is about identifying, I think, the importance of learning to feel content and happy with who you are, as you are, and what you are before you can look for that happiness with somebody else. I'm not saying you necessarily need to be happy in yourself to be happy with somebody else, but I'm certainly saying being happy in yourself can be a good starting point to then better allow you to build a healthier foundation with somebody in the future. Again, doesn't apply to everybody, but it can apply to some. It's just something to consider as well. But as a whole, honestly, I think it's a really good video. I think it really highlights probably the unspoken side of things online about how all this exterior and potentially aesthetic development doesn't necessarily fix all your problems. How oftentimes these problems and these feelings we were facing during these lower periods of our life were probably from something else, or were probably a combination of multiple things rather than simply just how we looked. And that then in turn kind of allows you to better identify what is missing, what deficit can you hopefully overcome and address to then allow you to feel better, happier, and more comfortable in yourself as you are, to become the version of yourself that you want to be, not the version of yourself you feel like you have to be because you're not in a good place mentally at that stage. Good video. Genuinely, really respect it, really appreciate it. But like with anything, these are simply my thoughts and opinions, and I'd love to hear yours in the comment section below. But what I will say, if you are struggling with anything, if you are dealing with anything, or you do just simply want somebody to reach out to, either just as somebody to listen, or maybe even for a little bit of advice, please understand my DMs are open. You are more than welcome to drop me an email, to drop me a message on Instagram. My @ is always linked in the description or at the beginning of videos, where it's just @Harry_TFNL. And I will always do my best to provide any kind of aid that I can or benefit, even if that's simply just an ear to listen. But regardless, if you made it here, thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for tolerating this slightly deeper video today. And thank you for tolerating the video.